guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing my top 6 all-time favorite serum foundations. I've been super into serum foundations over the past year or so because if the brand gets it right, they make your skin look so beautiful, so flawless, but in a more natural way than some heavier duty foundations that give you a similar result. So they don't look cakey or make it be whatsoever, but they still give you that flawless complexion. They just make your skin look juicy and radiant and healthy and glowy. So I absolutely love them. And they're great because they have versatile levels of coverage. So for each of the products that I'm going to be sharing, you really can make them what you want. If you want it to be lighter coverage, you can do that. If you want to build it up to medium/full coverage, you could do that as well. Plus, of course, all of these products are going to be fragrance and essential oil free. So if you have sensitive skin, you don't have to worry. I've always got you. We're going to talk through the ingredients in each of these products. I'll show you the formula, both swatched on my hand and then applied to my face. I'll apply each of these serum foundations with a sponge and a brush so you can see how they look with different tools, and we will do a wear test for every single one so you can see how they wear throughout the day. So I have tons of great product I cannot wait to share with you. If you're trying to figure out a serum foundation that's going to work the best for your skin type, you've come to the right spot, and we're going to jump into that in a second. But before we do, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, click on that notification bell, and drop a comment below letting me know a makeup product that you are currently loving that you think I need to try. Thank you so much for doing all of those things. It really helps to support me with the YouTube algorithm, so I appreciate you so much for doing that. And if you need anything from me at all, it's always going to be listed in my description box below, including Lightroom preset filters for editing your Instagram photos, my SPF merch, timestamps, discount codes, links to all of these serum foundations, and links to my favorite products of all time. All right, let's jump into it. All right, first up, we have the L'Oreal True Match Nude Hyaluronic Tinted Serum, which is the serum foundation that I just included in my 2021 annual makeup favorites video. If you haven't seen that yet, of course I will list it below, but I had to include this in that video because I've been obsessed with it ever since it launched this year. So I have this in the shade 0.5 to 2 very light. In case you would like to know my shades for reference, I'll list those in my description box below as well. When it comes to ingredients that stand out to me in this, there's really only one, and it's the hyaluronic acid. Even though I have to say I'm a little bit confused as to why this is being marketed so heavily as a hyaluronic acid serum when there's only 1% of that ingredient in it. I don't know if that's just me, but nonetheless, of course, it's a very nice hydrating ingredient that will help to make the skin look plump and dewy. When it comes to the formula, I would say for serum foundations, there's kind of a range. On one end, we have the very, very liquidy, ultra lightweight, almost watery formulas. On the other, we have the formula that is a little bit creamier, even though it still is lightweight, especially compared to some other foundations. I would say this lies somewhere in the middle. There's a little bit of creaminess to it, but it still is very liquidy. It feels incredibly lightweight on the skin. I really love it. When I blend this in with a sponge, I actually find that sometimes I have to go over it a few times because it's so lightweight. Often the sponge will absorb all of the product and I'll have like a little spot where the sponge picked it up, but it's easily fixed by just going over it again just a few times with that sponge. With a brush, it's not my absolute favorite way to apply it. I would say that holds true for all of these products and any complexion product, period. I always prefer a damp beauty sponge, and you know, that's just not ever gonna change. So I think that the brush is slightly streaky, but you can definitely still make it work. Again, all of these serum foundations do have versatile levels of coverage, but I would say that this one falls more in the light to medium range. I wanted to show you guys the finish of all of these products, both with and without setting powder. I always powder my complexion products because my skin leans oily, but if you have dry skin, you don't love a setting powder, I wanted to make sure I showed you guys that as well. So without setting powder, it looks very, very dewy on the skin, very healthy, juicy. With setting powder, I would say it still looks really nice and healthy, but it just looks a little bit more radiant versus fully dewy, slightly wet, if that makes sense. And one of the biggest reasons that I am obsessed with this product is because of the way that it wears on my skin. Somehow it stays looking fresh and healthy for hours. The coverage, everything holds up perfectly, and it doesn't start to look greasy or oily at all. It just looks beautiful. So again, I have been obsessed with this ever since it launched. I can't stop wearing it. It's so pretty. Works for daytime, works for a night out. It's just the best. I absolutely love it. Next up, we have a newer launch, which is the Beauty Blender Bounce Skin Tint. So this is their always on radiant skin tint, and this is not technically called a serum foundation, but the way they describe it is the same way that other serum foundations are described. So I thought I would include it in this video. I have the shade Light 3. This has some really nice ingredients in it. So it also has hyaluronic acid, but on top of that, it has niacinamide, willow bark extract, which is an astringent that helps to decrease inflammation, and beta-glucan, which is a really nice hydrating and soothing ingredient. So I love that. Some extra skincare goodies thrown in. This formula is definitely very liquidy, but I would say compared to some of these other serum foundations, it's almost like there's a little bit of an oily slip to it. So I wouldn't say it feels greasy, but if you have oily skin, you may just not love the way that that feels. But if you have dry skin, I think that you would really enjoy that. Again, I think that this applies beautifully with a sponge. It does look a little bit streaky with a brush, but it's not too bad, nothing that you can't work with. Now that I'm thinking about this, I feel like all of these serum foundations apply in that exact same way. Amazing with a sponge, a little bit streaky with a brush. So I'm not going to repeat that for every single one, but I will continue to show you guys what that looks like for those of you that want to see the difference. Without powder, I would say that this also looks very dewy on the skin, a little bit more so even than that L'Oreal tinted serum. With powder at first, I think it gives it more of a demi-matte finish, but as the day goes on, this definitely does start to look oily in my T-zone. So again, if you have oily skin, this may not be your favorite, but if you have dry skin, you might love that because it'll really bring the skin to life. Also keep in mind that whenever I am showing you guys these close-up makeup clips, especially by the end of the day, any sort of shine that I have on my skin is going to look much shinier on camera because I have really bright studio lights to help to create consistent lighting for you. I wish that there was a way for me to get around that, but by the end of the day when I'm showing you that wear, the sun is already set, so I don't have any natural light left, and studio lights are really my only option. So if you're looking at some of these like, what are you talking about that looks so greasy on your skin? That's why, and they don't look nearly as greasy in natural light without these just like beaming on my skin. Next up, we have the Tarte Hydro Flex Serum Foundation, and I'm in the shade 14S, which is Fair Light Sand. This has hyaluronic acid and niacinamide for standout ingredients, and again, when we think of the range of formulas we can get for a serum foundation, it's all the way over here. It's incredibly liquidy, lightweight, runny, almost water-like in formula. This will not be for you if you're looking for a serum foundation that can be easily sheared out to look light in coverage. I would say it's more medium coverage initially and can be easily built up to fuller coverage. So definitely more for those of you that want that medium to full look. And this also has, I would say, a unique formula compared to a lot of other serum foundations because it's not really dewy without powder. I would say it just looks fresh on the skin, kind of like whatever your natural skin type is. With powder, I would say it looks more natural matte. So not super, super flat and matte and dry looking, but again, not super radiant or dewy. So I think that you will love this if you have oily skin and you want something with a little bit more coverage. I have to say though, I've recently started to have issue with the way that this wears. I was loving this over the summer. I think I included it in a favorites video. I didn't realize that I happened to just be using sunscreens underneath it that meshed perfectly with the formula, so I never had issue. But as I have been kind of transitioning into winter, thicker sunscreens, testing more out, I've noticed that a lot of the times I have issues with this kind of pilling and bunching up with longer wear, especially with certain sunscreens. So I don't know, it's not the easiest formula to work with, especially if you're wearing sunscreen kind of as a makeup primer, but if you find a really nice sunscreen that meshes well with it, then I think it looks absolutely stunning on the skin. And in that same vein, I feel like how my skin looks at the end of the day can really vary depending on the sunscreen that I have paired with it. Sometimes it continues to look very fresh for hours and hours and hours. Other times I feel that I end up needing to repowder my skin pretty early on because it starts to look super greasy. So I don't know what it is about this formula. Definitely not as foolproof as some of the others, but I still wanted to include it in this video because I love the formula, and when I get this to work, it's beautiful. Next up, we have the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Serum Foundation with Sunscreen. This is the only serum foundation in this video that has sunscreen in it, and it's broad spectrum SPF 50 at that. So it's not just like SPF 8, SPF 15 that a lot of tinted moisturizer like products tend to advertise. And my shade in this is Rose Ivory 15. So the active ingredients in this when it comes to sunscreen are homosalate, octisalate, and octocrylene. That may be an issue for you if you have super sensitive skin, because chemical filters like that do tend to be more irritating than mineral filters. So I wanted to make sure I was calling that out. But other than that, this does have aloe, which will help to calm and hydrate the skin, and hyaluronic acid. Now this formula is something that I would consider to be more on this end of the spectrum. So while it still is a lightweight formula compared to other complexion products on the market, it's a little bit creamier than some of these other ones, but it still is something that feels so nice on the skin. I really love this, and because it has that little bit of extra creaminess, I actually find this to be so easy to work with when it comes to applying and blending. I also don't think this is a serum foundation that you can get to be super light in coverage, maybe light / medium, leaning medium, but you can build it up to be more medium to full, which is great as well. This finish is so beautiful. It's very radiant and dewy on the skin without powder, and I still think that it looks really nice and radiant with powder, but just not quite as dewy, maybe a little bit more radiant, fresh versus dewy. This is another product that stays looking amazing for hours. I would consider it to be very long wear. It doesn't look greasy on my skin. I don't know what the heck is going on over in L'Oreal's labs, but they are getting it right when it comes to complexion products. This is absolutely stunning as well. Second to last, we have the Ordinary Serum Foundation, and this is the one that I don't have a good color match for when I'm really fair like this, so keep that in mind. I am fully aware, I know it's too dark. I actually wear this when I have self-tanner on, and the shade is 2.0N. Light, medium, neutral. This is the one serum foundation in this video that has really nothing at all going on when it comes to noteworthy ingredients. That's fine by me because I'm always wearing skincare products underneath, of course, that have amazing ingredients in them. But if you were looking for one that had a little bit more going on in the skincare department, this will probably be a pass for you. However, this is the lightest weight, most liquidy formula out of all of these by far. It is unbelievable. It feels like literally nothing on your skin. I don't understand, because at the same time, it's full coverage. If you want to shear this out to be a little bit more medium in coverage, you can do that, but I feel like the default is full coverage with this. It's really easy to get there with a very little amount of product, which I think is amazing because you don't often find a formula that is that insanely lightweight that gives you that level of coverage. Finish of this without powder, I would say, is natural radiant, and with powder I think it looks more natural matte again, like natural fresh, and this is definitely something that I would consider to be long wear that looks amazing for hours but doesn't look greasy on my skin. Now that I'm thinking about this, I feel like this is going to be for those of you that wanted something like the Tarte Serum Foundation that's less finicky to work with, because I don't seem to have issues with this formula in the way that I do for this. 2 cents. And last but certainly not least, we have the Urban Decay Stay Naked Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. I have this in the shade Light 30, and standout ingredients in this include marula and argan oil, so really nice oils if you have dry skin. This formula is on the creamier end, similar to the L'Oreal Age Perfect Serum Foundation with sunscreen, and I actually recently included these two products in a makeup dupe video because I feel like these are so similar. I'll list that below if you want to see that entire video, but I'll just say that right now. If you're looking for a drugstore option, this will be your best bet. However, this one doesn't have sunscreen, so if this irritates your skin, this probably won't. So this is medium to full in coverage as well, and looks very dewy on the skin without powder. I would say even more so than that L'Oreal product. There's not a major difference, but I think it's a little bit dewier. So again, if you have dry skin, I think that you will love this because it's really going to make your skin glow and enhance that dew. With powder initially, I think that this looks really nice and radiant and fresh. But if I don't pair this with a more mattifying sunscreen underneath and a little bit more of a mattifying setting powder, then it is something that can start to look oily on my skin as the day goes on, whereas that L'Oreal product doesn't do that as much. So I would say those are kind of the two biggest differences, but if I pick my sunscreen and my setting powder wisely, then this will last beautifully on my skin for hours. So that is the 6th and final serum foundation, which means that we have made it to the end of this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it helpful in your serum foundation shopping journey. You'll have to keep me posted in the comments below. Have you tried any of these? What are your thoughts? Did you have a similar experience or a different experience as far as finish and look and feel and wear? Are you going to test any of these out after watching this video? If so, which one? And as always, if you are interested in purchasing any of these, I will have them all listed and linked in my description box below in order of mention, so it's really easy for you to find. But that is everything. So if you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, click on that notification bell, and send my channel to a friend. Thank you so much for doing all of those things. It really helps to support me, so I appreciate you so much. Thank you guys for watching. I love you all. Stay tuned for my next video because that will be up in a few days. But until then, I hope you have a great few days.